Bandicoot Retrospective. Press start to begin.
The year is 2006 and Crash Boom Bang was just released on the Nintendo DS. This game is unique in that this is the first and only Crash game to be developed entirely in Japan. This game was developed by Dimps, a company known for such games as the Sonic Advance series, the Sonic Rush series, and... oh yeah, they did Sonic 4. Once again, the game was produced by Vivendi Universal, but this time they are under the name of Sierra Entertainment. That's right, that Sierra Entertainment. The same Sierra that developed games like King's Quest and Leisure Suit Larry. In 2004, Sierra Entertainment was attained by Vivendi Universal, and for a bit, they were developing games under that name, mostly on re-releases of Sierra's classic series. Crash Boom Bang, known in Japan as Crash Bandicoot Festival, was Crash Bandicoot's second go at a party game. Considering just how bad Crash Bash was, you can imagine I'm not too optimistic about this game. Will Crash Boom Bang finally give Crash Bandicoot the great party game he deserves, or will this game prove that Crash Bandicoot party games are just a bad idea? Let's find out. One day, a multi-millionaire named Viscount decides he wants to obtain the mythical Super Big Power Crystal. This crystal is said to grant any wish. Viscount decides to hold a festival in order to trick the characters into getting the Super Big Power Crystal for him. Whoever finds it wins a cash prize of $100 million. Conveniently for this game's branding, our cast of heroes and villains are the ones to compete in the hunt. First, they start out with a race in Port Town. The winners of that race get sailed off to a desert where they complete the first step of getting the crystal. They must uncover all of the stone tablets. The stone tablets point to the location of the ancient map. Unfortunately for Viscount, Cortex is also looking for the crystal, so it becomes a race to get the map pieces. Once they acquire the map, the last thing they must get is the final key located in the middle of the ocean. As they fly towards their next objective, we get a little bit of background on Viscount. A long time ago, an adventurer found the final key, but was not able to find the giant power crystal. Unfortunately, while he was sailing home to collect his thoughts and try again, he crashed into an iceberg and sank, drowning in the process. This adventurer was Viscount's grandfather. As they arrive to where he sank, our heroes dive underwater to find the final key. Everyone finally makes it to the tower where they use all three of the pieces they've collected to allow them access to the inside. At the top of the tower lies the power crystal that Viscount has been searching for. Just as Viscount was about to make his wish, however, Crash steps in and wishes for an infinite number of Wumpa fruits, making all of this for nothing. Yeah, this story was really just an afterthought, huh? Viscount confuses me. He's holding this competition in order to find the giant power crystal, just to wish for something, but at no point are we told what this wish is. In fact, Viscount is painted as the villain here, but we're never really given a clear reason as to why. He's just rich and tricks people into helping him find this object. They forgot to make him, villainous? It's just an excuse to get the characters from board to board, but it really feels like they just didn't try. Also, the gameplay doesn't match the story. If Viscount wants us to bring him all of this stuff, why does he fight us at the end of every world? They just didn't think anything through. With all of that in mind, Crash Boom Bang's story gets my rating of a D. This game is a Mario Party clone, short and simple. It's actually more of a Mario Party clone than Crash Bash was. For each level, you traverse a board game type level, where you roll the die and move to different spaces that do different things. Some give you items that either help or hinder your advancement on the board, some spaces teleport you somewhere else, some spaces do nothing, and some spaces initiate minigames. I have to say though, they really should have come up with more minigames, because when I played through this game, each map had me play the same 3 or 4 minigames over and over and over again until the level was over. It was especially cumbersome when it gave me the same blow into the microphone minigame for the upteenth time in a row. I've never felt so lightheaded playing a video game, and I wish I could say I was joking. There are two main types of rule sets when it comes to the boards. There's the race rules and the treasure hunting rules. In some maps, all you have to do is race towards a certain space marked as the end in order to win. In the treasure hunting maps, you have to land on certain spaces to obtain the treasure lying within. These stages are especially frustrating since you are not told beforehand where these items are. It would be like if Mario Party hid the stars from you and you had to land on the exact space in order to collect them. I remember the first time I was playing through one of these treasure hunting levels, I was so confused that I ended up playing level 2 for almost an hour before figuring out what I had to do. This game isn't very good at conveying what it wants you to do. This game is just straight maddening. If you ever want to torture someone, have them play the final level of this game. All you have to do is get to the top of this tower. That's it. The amount of times it will throw you outside or tumble you to the bottom of the map is a test of patience that I honestly don't know how I survived. There's also one last thing I have to point out that makes this whole game feel pointless. You don't have to win. I literally got last place in the first level of the game, and the game continued to the next level anyway. In fact, there were times where I got second place in levels and it still continued on. What is the point of playing through this game and trying to win if winning doesn't matter in the long run anyway? There isn't even any unlockables for getting first place in the levels. It just continues. It makes trying in this game feel so pointless since what you do in this game really doesn't matter. You're just along for the ride. With all of that in mind, Crash Boom Bang's gameplay gets my rating of an F. Have you ever wanted to see the Mr. Sparkle version of Crash Bandicoot? That is the aesthetic of this game. All of the characters look really weird. Crash looks like he's about 80% face, someone told Aku Aku that someone kicked his puppy, and all of the girls are so anime. Some of the designs are fine, Cortex looks weird but serviceable, Pinstripe looks fine, and Fake Crash somehow looks less terrifying than Crash himself. Then there's the cursed designs. Purah and Polar, being anthropomorphic and anime-fied for some reason, really creeps me out. What the fuck is that, Tiny? This is the worst design of Tiny that I think I'll ever see in this retrospective. Yes, sir, it can't get worse than this. No way, no how. The only thing I could think of that could be worse is if he, like, I don't know, became Mike Tyson or something. What moron would do that, though? Other than the characters' designs, this game just looks plain ugly. I feel like they thought they were making a baby game because the colors are sickeningly saturated and bright. This game is just kind of an eyesore. As for the soundtrack, this is the most generic soundtrack I think I've ever heard for a DS game. This soundtrack literally sounds like your upteenth shovelware game soundtrack where it just tries to serve its purpose and nothing further. I can very much imagine this soundtrack being in place for a SpongeBob SquarePants game or a Drake and Josh game, more than I could imagine this being for a Crash game. It doesn't take any theming notes from the songs in the rest of the series, whether it be the tropical Australian tones from the originals, or the goofy acapella of Crash to Insanity and Crash Tag Team Racing. It's just basic. With all of that in mind, Crash Boom Bang's presentation gets my rating of an F. Completing this game is literally the same as finishing this game, so right off the bat, I'm going to say no, don't complete this game. That's crazy for me to say too, because playing through the entirety of this game's story took me only a little over 3 hours. It really just shows how bad this game is when I don't even recommend wasting a measly 3 hours on it. Crash Bandicoot and party games really just don't mix, do they? Between this game and Crash Bash, not only are they some of the worst Crash Bandicoot games in the series, they are some of the worst video games I've ever played. With a bare-bones story that has no true villain to speak of, gameplay that is confusing, physically taxing, and pointless, one of the worst, if not the worst presentation of any Crash Bandicoot game, yes, that includes Crash Purple, and a completion that is too short and basically non-existent, Crash Boom Bang may be the worst party game I've ever played. Worse than Sonic Shuffle, worse than Pac-Man Fever, and honestly, it might be worse than Crash Bash. With all of that in mind, Crash Boom Bang gets my overall rating of an F. Crash's career on the DS is looking bleak. Thank you everybody so much for watching this video, and if you like the Crash Retrospective, please like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this one, and hit that bell so you don't miss the next episode. We also have merch in the description below where you can get our shirts, mugs, and stickers to enrich your gameplay experience. Being the most well-esteemed guest of them, I'd like to give a special shout out to Andrew's Retro Games for being the most well-esteemed guest of them all. You could also become a channel member to get all of these videos when I'm finished editing them, as opposed to when they're scheduled to come out. Next week, we'll be looking at the next Crash game in the lineup, Crash of the Titans. With that, I'm Bottles, and I bid you, my well-esteemed guests, adieu.